Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready for another deep dive? Today we're tackling something pretty big. Blockchain and elections.
Yeah, this is a hot topic for sure, and I think we've got some really interesting stuff to unpack here.
We do. We've got this excerpt that explores both sides of the coin. The potential benefits and the challenges that come with using blockchain for voting.
Exactly. And it's such a timely topic, right? Because everyone's always looking for ways to make elections more secure and transparent.
Right. So, when you hear blockchain and elections in the same sentence, what's the first thing that comes to mind? For me, it's this idea, could we actually use this technology to make elections more, well, trustworthy?
I think that's the big question, isn't it? And there's a lot to consider. But first, maybe we should take a step back for a second.
Yeah, let's do that. For our listeners who might not be totally familiar with blockchain, how would you explain it in simple terms? Like, what is it and how does it actually work?
Sure, so think of it like a digital ledger. But not just any ledger. This one is super secure thanks to something called cryptography. It's kind of like a chain of blocks, each one linked to the one before it. And each block holds a bunch of information. In this case, let's say it's vote records.
Okay, so each vote gets its own block, and these blocks are all linked together.
Right. And here's the key thing. Once a block is added to the chain, it's virtually impossible to change.
So it's tamper-proof.
Yeah.
That's what makes it so secure, right?
Yeah.
Like if someone tried to change a vote, it would mess up the whole chain, and everyone would know something was wrong.
Exactly. And the fact that blockchain is decentralized is another big part of its security. It's not controlled by one central authority, like a government or a company. Instead, it's distributed across a whole network of computers. So it's incredibly difficult for any one entity to manipulate the system.
Got it. So no single point of failure. That makes sense. Okay, so let's dive into how this could play out in an election. Could blockchain actually make it impossible to rig an election? Is that really feasible?
I think impossible is a strong word. No system is completely foolproof. But blockchain definitely makes it a lot harder to tamper with votes undetected. With traditional systems, you have a central database that can be vulnerable to hacking or manipulation. But with blockchain, each vote is like a little fortress, cryptographically sealed and linked to every other vote. It's not impossible to break into one, but to change the outcome of an election, you'd have to compromise a huge number of these blocks.
Which would be, what, practically impossible to do without getting caught?
Pretty much. The system is designed to be transparent, so any tampering would be pretty obvious.
Okay, so let's say we can make elections more secure. What about the other big issue? Accessibility. Could blockchain actually make voting easier and more convenient for people?
Potentially, yes. This is where the idea of online voting comes in. Imagine being able to vote securely from your phone or computer, no matter where you are in the world.
That would be amazing, especially for people with disabilities, military personnel overseas, or anyone who has difficulty getting to a polling place.
Absolutely. It could remove so many barriers and potentially boost voter turnout.
Okay, so more secure, more accessible. This is all sounding pretty good.
Sure.
But let's be real. Are there any downsides? There's always a catch, right?
Of course. No technology is perfect, and blockchain definitely has its challenges. One of the biggest concerns is the digital divide.
Right. Not everyone has access to the internet or the tech skills needed to navigate a blockchain system.
Exactly. And if we're not careful, we could end up disenfranchising the very people we're trying to help. Implementing blockchain voting would require a serious commitment to digital literacy programs and making sure everyone has equal access to the technology. We can't just assume everyone's comfortable with computers and cryptography.
Absolutely. And there's another thing that worries me. Cybersecurity. Even if individual votes are secure, what's to stop hackers from trying to attack the system as a whole?
That's a valid concern, no doubt. Blockchain is generally considered very secure, but any system connected to the internet can be a target.
Right. So we need to be extra careful about building in layers of security to protect against those kinds of threats. And then there's the issue of identity verification.
Yeah, that's crucial. We need to ensure that only eligible voters are casting ballots, and we need to do it without compromising their privacy.
So it sounds like there's a real balancing act here. We need to make the system secure and accessible, but also protect people's privacy and make sure it's truly fair for everyone.
Exactly. It's a complex issue, and there's no easy solution, but I think it's a conversation worth having.
Absolutely. This has been really eye-opening. I feel like I have a much better understanding of the potential of blockchain in elections, both the good and the bad.
Yeah, it's definitely a mixed bag. There are some really exciting possibilities, but we need to be aware of the challenges and approach them thoughtfully.
Totally agree. So, for all of you listening out there, here's something to ponder. Could blockchain really be the key to a more trustworthy and inclusive democracy? Or is it just a shiny new tech toy that could end up creating more problems than it solves?
It's a big question, and it doesn't have an easy answer. But it's something we all need to be thinking about as this technology continues to evolve.
Exactly. We need to keep asking these questions and keep the conversation going. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time.